Democrats are preparing to unleash new enhanced mask-wearing policies. They want to lock you down for life. They want to take everything away from you. They want to destroy the economy. They want to destroy America and usher in a communist new world order where Sodom and Gomorrah is the law and Christians become an endangered species. Are you ready for the future, ladies and gentlemen? Doesn't seem like you are out there. But what can you do? What can you do? Ladies and gentlemen, you better figure it out. Right now, you remember this world? The free world? It's gone. It's gone. America, they killed it. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on out there? Want to give a big shout out to everybody in the audience. Oh, it looks like a slow day in the Matrix. We scared everybody away with our last broadcast, it looks like. Oh, you don't want to learn about the EMF 390? Fine. We'll just cover the news. Guess that's all we're good for. Huh, ladies and gentlemen? Biden's staff had to write a script for him so he'd know what to say when talking to Harris. Looks like his phone was upside down, too. Not sure what to say about that one. What is the video guy doing? On vacation. We decided to come on live just to kind of entertain you a little bit because, well, we weren't planning to do another show for a couple more hours, but people in the audience were whining over the last premiere, and it wasn't, it wasn't like a news broadcast, but what can we say? Oh, check this out. I think this is going to be the main show today, to be quite honest with you. The mainstream news yesterday was churning stories how the burning of the Bible in Portland was some kind of Russian propaganda. And they made it seem like it wasn't even filmed in America, like it was, filmed in Russia somewhere. And, you just had to wonder about that story. Here they are, like, burning flags, burning, Blue Lives Matter flags as well, and the Bible, and, just the works, right? And then the New York Times comes on, and they're like, that was Russia propaganda. That was fake news. It's like these people can't be serious, but they're very serious. They're very, very serious about destroying your lives, ladies and gentlemen. So, Russia propaganda, there it is. Comrade. Let's see, Kamala means horrible in Finnish. Anytime you see MAL somewhere, that's bad news. It's like, just bad news. We'll have to find some examples of that in various languages, but no doubt that they would pick Kamala Harris. A radical was arrested at an abolish police protest in Wisconsin. He was filmed fighting with an officer pointing a rifle at him. During the arrest, Banta bit him on the arm. The rifle was loaded, and he also carried a knife. He was bailed out by one of these leftist organizations. They've got their army nice and organized. They go out there and wreck stuff up, and then immediately these people are bailed out with unlimited cash. 9mm ammo is running out. People are getting ready for the boogaloo, for the big cookout. New York City spending $2 million a night per person per night to home the homeless in luxury hotels. We'll see how long that lasts, but that's a nice, that's a nice step up for these poor people. But usually in a situation like this, they set them up in a hotel just before they go missing. They try to find out, who's ripe for the taking. No parties, no trips, but hey, if you want to protest, go right ahead. That's the standard policy right now. The information they censor is exactly what you need to know. Very cliche, isn't it? And let's see what else we got in the news. Anybody out there? Just wanted to say hi. How's it going? So this is an exceptional live broadcast. We didn't plan on going live, but we just wanted to say hi to everybody. Oh, look at Spartan. He's like 5G all over Pennsylvania. You know, it's everywhere. You're going to have these looming death towers that you can see from your backyard everywhere. And look, I hope people enjoy that. You know, I think it's going to improve the scenery for sure. And, you know, obviously people are going to be able to relax and enjoy themselves as they stare at these big death towers. And what makes it even worse is having a meter beep at you while you're staring at the death tower. Nothing like peace and tranquility in your backyard, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, what else? Anybody else got anything bright to say? Pixie, how's it going? Jigsaw. It's like the movie, isn't it? Roll Guy, what are you doing? Waking up to coffee and Ron Johnson news. Nothing better. Look at this guy. That's so nice. Truth will set you free. Plandemic. What happened? You know, they're trying to shift away from the pandemic. We're going to get back to the news eventually here, but, you know, they're digging in. They're like, oh, yeah, you know, you need to wear your mask forever. And, you know, soon, you know, it's going to turn into years. We're going to be fighting this for years. We're going to be, you know, locking down for years. And I remember when this all started, you know, day one, they were like, oh, we're just going to do this for 14 days. And we're like, there's just no way they're going to get rid of this in 14 days. And then, you know, 14 days turned into like 4 weeks, 8 weeks, you know, and now we feel like, oh, maybe it's kind of over, but they're coming back. Even though their numbers have been exposed, even though their tests don't work, even though it's their virus, even though they let it in, they're coming back. They'll lock you down. Even though, you know, they've been exposed, they're going to lock you down. So, tell me, anybody out there, are you seeing anything like rabies? Are you feeling a little, you know, more trigger happy than usual out there? Finding it a little more difficult to contain yourselves than ever before? We're going to have to work on that. We're going to have to work on a lot of things, but for the time being, it is what it is out there. So the seeds get people ready for the dark winter. Better to be, you know, safe than sorry. I mean, this looks serious. It's not like, you know, somebody knocked on your door and ran away. I mean, they infected the whole country here. So we're talking about some, you know, hardcore criminal activity. I don't know what the video guy is doing. I don't think we're going to find out either anytime soon. So, what was that? So yeah, look, you know, everybody's been infected with the rabies virus. It's like the movie I Am Legend. And they're locking down New York. You're hearing like every day more states have been added to Cuomo's quarantine list, right? Soon, I mean, from the rest of the world, the virus has gone airborne. It's like rabies. You know, it's the first 5 minutes of the movie I Am Legend. And, you know, where does it go from here? That's the question. I think on the bright side, you know, most of us have survived the first wave. So, you know, we can expect to survive the second wave and the third wave. You know, we're not going to get into the virus right now, but it looks like they've rolled the flu numbers in as well as a few other categories into the COVID numbers and said, you know, surprise, bitches. But, you know, the tests don't work. The numbers aren't real. We don't know exactly how bad the situation is, but, you know, most people, you know, have survived. So I think the bigger threat is, you know, what's to come. And no matter who wins in this next election, we're deeply
in a very powerful manner. These are people that don't usually do vaccines. They do soldiers and they do lots of other things that frankly are more difficult. But we have our general, and logistically, he's all set.
So, look, we're getting some foreshadowing of what's coming, and I think we'll see a little bit more of that in the news here. Yeah, but these war criminals must go. Wear a mask or go to jail. You know, that's the rhetoric we're seeing everywhere. Victoria facing years of mandatory masks. That's from Australian news. So that's not like, you know, some kind of other thing. But, you know, they're going to be fighting this pandemic for years. It's the new war on terror. And they're going to be terrorizing you for years, taking away your rights, house arrest, masks, you know, the works, vaccines, get your papers, get your chip. And that's why it's important to squash, you know, the bugs now. Not when, you know, they've totally indoctrinated everybody into their, you know, delusional fantasies and the like. But, you know, that has to happen early. And thankfully, you know, we were following this broadcast, following the story since the very beginning of the outbreak, and we were able to, you know, introduce, you know, our point of view, our perspective. And so luckily right now people are talking pandemic. They're talking, you know, Fauci, Gates. They're, you know, censoring everything they can. They're panicking, and you know, they know that they've been exposed, but they're going to keep ignoring you. You know, and that's what they always do. It's kind of like the Pizzagate and the like, fully exposed as pedophiles, you know, the entire establishment. And they just like ignored you and kept, you know, carrying on like, you know, they haven't been exposed. And this is essentially the syndrome that we're up against. And, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, the facts don't matter, nothing matters. It's their agenda that they're trying to roll out and, you know, force on you and shove down your throat. That's all that matters. So that's what we're dealing with, is just like crazy people in charge, and, you know, they basically own everything. The politics, the media, the corporations, your food, your energy, the works. And so they can terrorize you all you want, and all you can do is try and run away, you know. But eventually, you know, there'll be no place to run away. And that's what we're seeing, you know, kind of like right now, exploring the world and getting feedback from people all around the world is like, you know, there's death towers everywhere. There's, you know, New World Order, you know, kind of stuff going on everywhere. The symbolism, the cult members, the works. And so there's nowhere to run. You know, running eventually is, you know, not going to be the answer. And we've played the video clips where, you know, they're picking people off one by one and, you know, bringing them, you know, onto the train platform, moving them, you know, to their execution. And you just kind of have to reverse engineer, you know, those kind of scenarios and say, look, it would have been better for all those people to stand up anywhere together and fight back versus just getting picked off one by one. But that's a lesson that we'll just have to learn the hard way. But I firmly believe that there will be a crystallizing moment, you know, in the resistance. There'll be something that happens, you know, like a George Floyd moment. You know, 2 young women will be dragged out of a house, you know, beaten, tased, and the like, because they didn't take a test, or, you know, they were out past curfew or something like that. And
that was fooling around with these viruses. Prohibited it. Despite that, Dr. Fauci gave $3.7 million to the Wuhan laboratory. We paid for it.
We paid for the virus. You can't get the treatment. You can't get the hydroxychloroquine. You can't get anything that might help you. The only thing you're allowed to do is stay at home and grab your ankles. Wait for the penetration. In any case, ladies and gentlemen, you know, it's the same song and dance, but there's nowhere to run. We just have to wait for that crystallizing moment kind of like in the George Floyd case where everybody just came on the streets and started burning everything down. That's essentially what we're waiting for. What will that moment be? You know, is the next question. Will it be, you know, the landslide, you know, Biden victory? Will it be the landslide Trump victory? We just don't know. Will it be, you know, some kind of, what is this? Will it be, you know, some kind of, you know, George Floyd deep state abuse? We don't know. That's all there is to do, I suppose. Just wait and see what happens. But it's not going to be until everybody's really upset that things are going to change. And I guess we're not there yet, you know. Some people are. You know, you look at the West Coast, I mean, they want their communism so bad. So bad. It's scary. And they don't give a, you know what. You know, they're out there burning down everything they can. Including the police station, the courthouse, you name it. So, there you go. They want it. You don't want it. They're in control. You're not in control. You know what conservatives are like right now? They're like the natives. They're like the Native Americans. You know, just sitting there ripe for the picking. You're sitting on land that they want. And they're going to get it. Because, you know, we haven't unified as an army to stop them. But everybody sees through the bullshit. That's not the problem. The question is, you know, what are you going to do about it? It's not, you know, what you would like to do about it. It's what are you going to do about it. Now, this is pretty freaky here. We could do an expose on this, and this is pretty tempting. The Epstein's closest pal, etc., etc. But here we see Ghislaine Maxwell and Jean-Luc Brunel, and in these, you know, pictures we see a whole new, you know, sadistic side to the whole crew. And you can tell it was like a hardcore, you know, party crew, drug crew, and this guy here, I mean, you know, the pictures really kind of speak for themselves, but you can tell these people were monsters. Any case, control oil and you control nations, control food and you control the people. I mean, this is like, you know, the 1970s, 60s kind of thinking, right? And, you know, they control your food. You're forced to go to Walmart for the most part to get your food, or to the grocery store. Piggly Wiggly. You know, stuff like that. And they got you by the balls. You know, most people can't cook, let alone, you know, farm, to say the least. What else we got? Oh, another banned video. Let's see. States silently stockpiling food to the roof. What else we got? Sky will be sprayed in geoengineering experiment. You know, they've been talking more and more about it. We've been seeing less chemtrails this year. Not sure what you guys are seeing out there. We're getting mixed reports from people around the world. Some, you know, still see chemtrails, some don't. But undoubtedly this has an effect on the weather, and it might be making things warmer, not colder. And, you know, that might be the whole point of some of these HARP types of facilities. It's really to microwave the atmosphere. I'm pretty sure we've got... No, that's not it. The video guy's fired. Well, I guess we'll have to stick with this. Anyways, what else we got in the news? Didn't we just see that? We got some kind of interesting, you know, events going on in Portland. People throwing pipe bombs at the Antifa. Now, they say this guy was, you know, ex-special forces and the like. That turned into a big story, but you just never know. You just never know if this was some kind of like, deep state action. Usually is. So what's this one? Typical protester in Portland, per se. Totally fucked up. When you think about Leave It to Beaver, I Love Lucy, the good old days, you look at people today and you almost have to embrace a virus. You know what I mean? Embrace the death towers. You see people wearing the masks, that puts a smile on my face each and every time. It really does. But you feel bad, look, you can't help the sheeple. If you could, you would. So we'll just have to wait until the sheeple kind of feel a little more threatened by the system. If Trump doesn't win the election, China will own the United States. They may already own the United States, as far as we know. But, imagine a world with creepy Biden in charge. Oh, well, there'll be plenty of time for that. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is a real interesting story. An important story. Not sure how many people check out our news feed, but I don't care. I don't live in the city either, so I don't care. In any case, woman 34 dies after inhaling fumes from bleach mixed with other cleaning products while scrubbing her bathroom. Now, this is, the perfect example of what we were talking about early on in this outbreak. They've been giving people nothing but the wrong advice. They're telling people, wash your hands even though it's a respiratory illness, right? For all the way up until April, they're like, you don't need a mask. Now it's like masks for years. But early on in the outbreak, when it could have made a difference, they're like, oh, you don't need to wear a mask. It's just like SARS, and SARS protocol was everybody wears a mask. But here they're like, you don't need a mask. And then they want to lock you down in an environment, no sunshine, can't leave your house kind of thing. And they're telling people, just wash your hands, clean everything. So, of course, they're going to bust out the bleach. So here you got a respiratory illness that thrives on inflammation. And, they're telling people stay at home and clean and breathe in the bleach. Right? This stuff will kill you. And especially, when people are making up their own little recipes. And sometimes it's just the residues that are enough. You could be using some pine sol and then all of a sudden, you just add some bleach or something. And you can get a real nasty cocktail effect from household products. In fact, household products are probably like the anarchists, weapons of choice, because with bleach and detergent or toilet bowl cleaner, you can make some of the nastiest weapons known to man. And you just have to wonder why people haven't done that already, to be quite honest with you. But that just comes back to the fact that most people aren't psychos, and the ones that are, they're basically set up by or brought to you by the deep state. Anyways, so fair warning to everyone using bleach and all of that other kind of stuff. We recommend white vinegar or hydrogen peroxide. And I guess sometimes you need soap, sometimes you need bleach, but you really got to air out and ventilate. And you hear a lot of stories like this. I mean, you hear a lot of suicides like this too. And that's another side of this, outbreak and these lockdowns. People are just losing their minds and basically killing themselves. And there's probably more people that die from suicide every year than COVID by far. And they're not trying to, lock down society to figure out what's, driving these people to suicide, because they know the answer to that already. And, if people, they like it They like nothing better than people killing themselves, because then it's definitely a suicide. And it's not like Epstein where people are asking questions. Anyways, I know we got more news to cover. Amazon removes anti-vaccine documentaries, but then releases documentary with pedophiles. And when you see the amount of, let's just say LGBT propaganda out there, it's disturbing. To see how they raise their kids, it's disturbing. And if taking their kids away from them and putting them in foster care was any better, then that would be a solution. But, it's nothing but child abuse in this country, in one form or another. And that's what they like. Abusing your children more or less, guarantees that they'll be dark-sided, if that makes any sense. And so it's really important, look, we do a lot of news and we focus, on, the worst of society and all of that stuff. But, your life should not be an STFN broadcast. And, you should be living your life according to the Gospels as much as you can. And so, I see a lot of people running around out there, upset, crying, angry, but these are all negative emotions. And, they all lead you to the dark side. And so it's really important that you really look at the bright side of the situation. This is impacting the libtards, the cities the most. It's their economy, it's their way of life that's being impacted the most. Most of you live out in the country and, are trying to stay far away from this as possible. So, in any case, it's really important to stay positive in all of this as much as you can. Look at the bright side. And don't stop these libtards from wearing a mask, getting a vaccine, or, putting a cell phone to their head. You know what I mean? Comcast bans GOP candidate Laura Loomer. I know we kind of covered this, more or less, some of this stuff. This was excellent, though. We gotta watch this together here.
This is crazy. They can't help him. He don't have a friend left. Wait a minute. That's the Warriors music. That's the ultimate warrior. It is. Look at that.
Ah, the 90s, man. I love the 90s. Now, this girl, is basically where you want to be at in your words, in your mind, not an STFN broadcast. Hold on.
That's my neighbor's generator because the power's up. You see this? This is a tree in my backyard. But this tornado that just passed through here, well, it brought this tree right down. But guess what? Not on my house. No, this tree came down and it spared my house. Hallelujah, that's 2020, y'all. The storm came this year. The storm might still be here, but it didn't come to stay. It came to pass, y'all. It came to pass, and our houses, they are still standing. Amen, Brielle?
Amen. So, look, you can look at the glass half full or half empty, but, we're called to be on the bright side or the right side of the equation, wherever we can be. And, look, when you cover the news, that's a little different. I try not to do an STFN broadcast with every person I meet, believe it or not. But I think that, there's a time and place for everything. And in your daily lives and in your world, you should just really make the best of it. Not always easy out there. But just be happy you don't live in one of these, kill zones. And there'll be no escaping these big cities. So get out while you still can, ladies and gentlemen. What's this here? Protesters everywhere. And communism continues. Here's another Hollywood film producer that's talking about the child sex trafficking. And so you get more insiders that are confirming what, we've been talking about for years. And again, where's the mainstream media when it comes to all of this? They're censoring it, for the most part. They're not talking about it. They're not talking about the real issues, which really makes you wonder, whose side are they on? Oh, look at this. Hasbro recalls toy with secret button on private area that makes doll gasp and giggle. There you go. Top Chicago prosecutor Kim Foxx has dismissed over 25,000 felony cases. And this is Chicago now. It's not like it used to be. It's changed quite a bit. And what can you say? I think this is probably the most telling number or statistic out there when it comes to the outbreak. Again, the testing, it lags. It's not accurate. And so the numbers don't really mean anything. But the amount of people in hospitals, under a COVID flag does mean something. And the numbers are virtually down to zero. And the more they look at the numbers, like the more bogus the numbers look. We've talked about that in recent broadcasts. And still, it doesn't matter that their numbers are fake and it's exposed and recognized. It doesn't matter that, they paid for this virus. They let this virus in. It doesn't matter that it's a pandemic. I mean, they want to lock you down forever. And I think like the first red flag, would have to be like, our prison system. You see how we treat prisoners. You see how we treat people. I mean, we're real quick to lock people up for like 20 years, throw away the key, and, place them in like forced labor camps, industrial labor camps where they're, working for like 10 cents a day. If we can treat any of our citizens that way, it's only a matter of time before, all of our citizens, end up that way. So there you go. Look, I think we'll leave it there for this broadcast. We'll come back with something else a little bit later today, but that's all there is to say for the time being. Until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, you are